Hey folks, welcome back to our channel. My name is Nigel and this is Offgrid Van Life, where we look at van conversions, Offgrid Power, lithium iron phosphate batteries and everything in between. Basically, we want to help you to convert a van, build out an epic electrical system and hit the road to find that adventure. In this video, I'm going to be making use of the beautiful day that we have here in Northern Ireland to do the last few things on the outside of the van that I need to do, which require to be dry and for Psychoflex to be able to seal really well on a dry surface. But essentially I'm going to be drilling the last few holes in the outside of this van to get it ready for me to actually insulate and panel and frame out the inside here. So I'm just about to crack on with the floor, with starting to insulate and panel the floor in between other projects, and we've just got shipment of our new battery cells, so we've been building batteries, so I've been a bit slow on the conversion of this van, but for now I'm going to be drilling a bunch of holes here. So the four things that I'm hoping to get done in this video today are to drill and fit the plug or the inlet for the water filler, the external shower, the electrical hookup plug, and the seal for the solar cables coming through the roof. So yeah, a bunch going on today, lots to do, so we're going to crack on with that now. Let's go. Okay folks, so here we go. I started off by marking out where my water inlet was going to go. I wanted that to go as high as it could possibly go under that load-bearing pillar or cross member there, mainly because my tank is an upright standing tank to save space in the garage, and so it needed to go as high as it could so that I still have gravity on my side when I go to fill the tank. So I'll have about 100 millimeters of height difference between the center of the filler spout and the tank. I drilled a pilot hole from the inside so that I knew where I was going, and then used a drill cutting bit to cut a big hole. This is the biggest hole that I've cut in a van in quite a while. This is an 80 millimeter hole, so it's a little bit daunting cutting such a massive hole on the side of the van, but just went carefully. Used the tape mainly because I didn't want the paintwork around the outside of the cut to be damaged or anything if I had any metal shavings. I ended up not having much. You can see some stuff falling there, but that's really just the paint that's being chipped away as I'm cutting through the side of the van here. But the paint just helps to protect the tape just helps to protect the paintwork a little bit when you cut it. So I pull the tape off pretty much immediately, and then I just paint around the hole. Obviously just check that it fits. It was pretty snug, so the cutting tool that I used there was actually a 79 millimeter, and it needed to be for an 80 millimeter hole. So the diameter of the filler spout there is 80 millimeters, and I then painted the hole, so all the metal work there. Try to do this as carefully as possible so that I didn't have this paint sticking out the outside of the filler spout, mainly because it's a different shade of white to the actual van. The van's more of a cream color. This is pretty much a clean white color, and that I then left that to dry as it was just the paint, and then started on the second hole. So wanted to get this dead center between that kind of bend and the bodywork there, and then also just eyeballed it to make sure that I got the vertical line right. Or I forgot that I landed up made like that, so I just measured it with the top hole just to make sure that I got it lined up nicely so that it looks pleasing to the eye. And then again put tape on. I just put a couple of layers of tape just across the middle there. Didn't drill a pilot hole for this because it was pretty much smack bang in the middle of the inside cavity there that's going to be insulated and boarded off, so didn't need to get it in a specific location, so that's why I didn't drill a pilot hole here. And also it doesn't matter where this goes really, because it's going to be pressurized, because it's an external shower. It's going to be pressurized with the pump that I put into the van, so I could literally put this shower anywhere. I just wanted it kind of in a similar place. Doesn't really matter where it goes, so I just kind of picked this as being the easiest place to install it when it got to actually putting it in. Same sort of deal with this, just cut the hole through there. These van walls are surprisingly strong and take a bit of work to get in there. Again, just check that it fits, which it did. It was a nice snug fit. I've installed quite a few of these now. They just have a 60mm hole, so it's pretty easy and straightforward. I then obviously painted the cut just like I did before, and then moved on to the next one while that one dried. So this one was a bit more trickier. I cut a little template out of cardboard for this hole, and it's a bit tricky because it's not just like a nice round object there or hole that you need to cut. This was like a half circle on one side, and then like a, I don't even know, like a cornered thing with a flat bit on the top there. As you can see, it was just a really fiddly shape to cut out, especially in metal work like this. But I cut it out, drilled 6 pilot holes basically on all of the corners where those needed to go. I then used a jigsaw to finish off the hole and cut that out. Was pretty straightforward. I could have done with a slightly finer jigsaw blade when I was doing this. Again, I put tape on just to make sure that I didn't scratch the paintwork, particularly with the jigsaw. When I start moving the jigsaw around and it's rubbing on the paintwork there, it's nice to have some tape just to protect the paintwork and not to scratch it. But I could have done with a slightly finer jigsaw blade, because I had quite a coarse jigsaw blade. I have a blade on there that's kind of between, it's one of those multi ones where you can cut metal and wood with it, but I could have done with one a bit finer, but if I kept the speed up on the blade, it actually cut the stuff fine. And then we tested, fitted the electrical hookup, plug fits fine, and then I just cleaned it up because the edges were a bit messy. Just got a little file, cleaned that up nicely, and then same routine, painted it with the white paint and left it to dry. Pretty straightforward on that. After that, I then moved on to cut the hole in the roof of the van. I didn't film that, but pretty straightforward, pretty much the same deal. Just you put a 25mm hole in the roof that would be sealed off with a gland. I then decided that I would put my electrical cable through the hole and fit it and wire it into this plug, mainly so that I don't have to be doing it in an awkward place inside the van once this thing's fitted. So just did that just to make life a bit easier once it was inside there. So yeah, then went through the process of actually fitting all of this stuff and sealing it in. So drilled the pilot holes for the screws that would attach this filler spout to the side of the van, and I drilled the holes before I put the Sikaflex in. That would actually obviously seal it off. Made sure that it was straight, drilled these out with a small pilot hole, and then I had self-tapping screws that I'll be putting in. So put a bunch of Sikaflex in to make sure that it would have a good seal, and the Sikaflex will also work as an adhesive as well, just to keep that thing nice and snug in there. Obviously the screws will do a lot of, or most of the work, but that Sikaflex is powerful stuff as well. Stainless steel self-tapping screws, just so that they don't rust, and just centered. Obviously being careful once you get to the end of the thread on the self-tapping screw, because if you have ever put these into metal work like this, doesn't take much to actually strip it and then you stuck. Pretty much your only option at that point is to put a much bigger screw in. So pretty straightforward. Screwed it all in, got it nice and snug. I put enough Sikaflex in that it kind of oozed out a little bit on the sides, which I prefer, just to know that it's definitely enough in there to seal it. I then just neatly bead it around the filler spout there. Looks pretty neat. Once that's dry, it'll be sweet. Same with this, with the external shower. So I put that in, drilled the pilot holes, put a bunch of Sikaflex in, and screwed it in. So good, straightforward. These Bullfinch external showers are the best that you can get, in my opinion. I've tried a few different options, and I think these are the best value for money, and ease of install, all that sort of stuff. They work super well. The fact that your once you have it all plumbed in and that plumbing is all sealed and connected properly, the fact that your tap and your pipe and everything is outside of the vehicle with no chance of it leaking inside is really good. And it's just a great concept, the way you have your pipe that just comes off there easily and you can stow that away somewhere rather than trying to feed the pipe back into a compartment and it always gets tangled and stuck and all that sort of nonsense. So yeah, again, bunch of Sikaflex on here, seal it off nicely, make sure that we have no water ingress into the side of the van there through that hole that I've drilled. And like I said earlier, it'll also help to just keep that thing on there, act as an adhesive. Same deal here, stainless steel screws, decent ones that'll hold this thing. You're not going to be putting a lot of force on either of these two, so the filler spout and the shower unit, because that shower unit is pretty straightforward and it doesn't take a lot of force to actually plug it in. And obviously the filler spout, all you're doing is undoing the cap and putting a pipe in there, so that's pretty straightforward and easy. Again, just cleaned off the Sikaflex on the edges there. And then we got to the EHU, so this was pretty straightforward again, same routine. So drilled the pilot holes, and Sikaflex liberally. Put a bunch on there, make sure it's sealed up nicely. The Sikaflex is awesome. If you've never worked with it, you should do yourself a favor. It's one of the most important things in a van conversion. I think that you use it for everything. There's so many appliances, and it's so strong. If you put it on the right surfaces, it is incredible adhesive. Okay, then push this in, and then same sort of routine. With this one, I'd actually only drilled the top two holes, just because I actually found it, when I was doing the other two, I found it slightly easier, but I didn't push them in all the way to then be able to straighten it out nicely and make sure that it was straight. Because sometimes if you drill all your pilot holes before you start putting it together, it can wander. So just a quick run through of how all of this looks. This is the inlet for the water filling, so I put it quite high up because I'm getting a standing upright tank, so I wanted the water inlet to be higher than that. Obviously this is pretty much as high as I could get it in this wall, bar putting it like right up at the top, but that's just going to start then interfering with the bed and stuff, so this was about as high as I could get it. Then we have the external shower. So in my opinion, this is the best external shower you can buy for a camper. It's a Bullfinch. Very, very good. I've used one of these for quite a while on my camper, and I really like them. Very easy, and just work really well. You don't have the hassle of trying to push the pipe back in there when you're not using it and having to have a compartment to store that, etc., etc. So yeah, pretty happy with how that looks. This is the electrical hookup. I need to tidy up some of the masking tape that's still on the paintwork there, as you can see, but pretty happy with how that turned out. This was probably the most challenging because for some reason they had this really weird shape, which was like lots of sort of half circles, and that why they don't just have a big round hole that you drill through with like an 80mm circular hole cutter, I don't know. But anyway, show you what it looks like inside here quickly. So here we have the back of the EHU, the electrical hookup. So obviously there's just bare screws there that'll get covered up by the insulation. I'm not too worried about that. It's also not somewhere that we're going to access often, if ever. So yeah, really not that worried about the screws there. They'll just get hidden by the wall and then they will never be seen again, hopefully. I've already connected up the cable there for the electrical hookup, and I've just got the cable just hanging in the van here, so just left plenty of slack there. So I'll probably land up running the cable in like this pillar all the way around to the other side, because all of the electrical stuff is going to go here on the left. And if we jump in, we have the back of the Bullfinch nice and neat in there. There will be just enough room here for these pipes to make a bend, probably just straight down, I think, once we connect those up. So you can get like these clip connectors onto here, made by Bullfinch or Whale, one of the two, but I'll end up actually just putting the hose straight on there with a really good Jubilee clip, and it doesn't leak. I mean, but I'll end up just putting the pipe straight on there with a good Jubilee clip, and I've never had a problem doing that. And then we have our water inlet here, so as you can see, pretty much as high up as we can go on that, but pretty happy with how that's looking there. So we'll obviously then take a pipe off here, and your breather pipe there, and that will go down to the tank is going to sit to probably about that level. It's about 600 mil high, so won't have a huge angle on this from this pipe to the top of the tank. Talking about probably 100 mil, something like that, 10 centimeters, but I think it'll be sufficient. Pretty happy with how that turned out. And then lastly, I'll show you the inside here just before I go out and show you the outside on that. That's what the inside of the hole looks like for the gland, for the solar. So just painted it, and I've got a little grommet that I will put on this side, just in here to protect the wires so they're not rubbing on metal, even though that metal is pretty good because I filed it down and then I have painted it, so it's looking pretty good, but I'll show you outside now. And lastly, excuse the lawnmower, one of my neighbors, this is the gland on the outside. So I've got it obviously forward facing with the inlets facing the back of the van, because obviously the front is going to get most of the wind as you're driving. And that's just sitting there just with Cycloflex, no screws or anything. Screws are completely unnecessary for this because really there's not a lot of weight, or anything that you're holding on in Cycloflex will hold just about anything. So yeah, pretty happy with how that looks. Nice and sealed well there. So ready for solar. And there we have it, folks. We have finished drilling all of the holes that we need to into this camper conversion. So pretty happy with how it all worked out. It was pretty painless and easy to do. So just going to let these dry out now. And then the next task is going to be to start putting down the floor. So we'll frame that out, cut out the insulation, and then we're going to put the insulation down with expanding spray foam underneath that, and then lay a plywood floor down on that, and then on top of that we're going to put a vinyl of some sort. So pretty happy with how all of that is looking now. So next week I should get the floor down. This hole here for the solar, currently it's just a hole that's been painted, so I've got a little grommet to go in there when we actually put the solar cables through there. So I won't put the solar cables through until I'm ready to actually put the solar panels on the roof. And obviously the cables will come in before I put the roof on, the ceiling. So we'll get after that probably after Christmas, just because of this year's running away from me. But yeah, pretty happy with how everything turned out. Hopefully this video has been useful or entertaining, or one of the two. But yeah, I will see you guys in the next video. Thanks for watching. Cheers.